Hello, today I'm going to talk about shadow work, and that is connecting to our subconscious mind and how we can heal and deal with things from the past and thus make life right now easier. Hello, I'm Celia Winter. I'm a spiritual teacher for more than 30 years, and I'm also a biopath dealing with nutrition and natural medicine for my entire life as well. Today we're going to talk about shadow work, and it's part one because I'll do that in two or maybe even three videos because I find it so important. Now, you know as well as me that life really can be tough. Sometimes it's unbearable, sometimes it's painful, sometimes it's sad and empty. We can have all kind of experiences of life. It's not only love and light and everything feels happy. Realistically, we should have known this from before, and we should have trained those muscles. How do we deal with challenges? How do we deal with obstacles? How do we deal with life when it gets hard? Because it gets hard for all of us. For some people, a lot of time, and they experience a lot of difficult things. For other people, less. So it's not like equal or fair. It's very important that we don't expect that everything should be easy, because then when we face obstacles, we think something is wrong. And life is not wrong, although we meet something which is hard or difficult to handle. We just need to get help or find ways of how to handle it, and then we can get through it. And for me personally, I've been having situations in my life that has been so difficult and really on the edge of, do I really find this livable at all? And I'm so happy that I went through that darkness, because it's some kind of darkness that comes over you when you don't know how to handle the situation you're standing in. And going through that darkness makes you come out on the other side, and it makes life easier one step at a time. If you are in deep trouble right now, then please find help. Call a helpline, call a friend, call a family member, call someone. Because step number one in all kind of shadow work, even if it's whether it's like right now that you're suffering or in the past you were suffering, is to not suffer by yourself. Spiritual shadow work means that we need to do things collectively. We need to use the energy of the universe around us to be strong enough to go through difficult things. We cannot do it alone. So we can do it with a friend, we can do it with a therapist, we can do it in a group, we can do stuff in various ways, and we can also connect to nature and the things around us. Now, the energy field for me is very important, because if I am just like thinking of a problem, whether it's now or in the past, in my mind, the problem can grow. I can see various ways of dealing with that problem, but very often it's difficult to solve it if I'm just stuck in my brain. So the first thing we want to do when we're doing shadow work is to get out of our brain. And we have a really easy way to do that, because we can use our senses. Now, let me take this cup here, and when I hold it in my hands, I can feel that it's colder than my hands. So I'm touching it, and by touching it and being conscious, aware that I'm touching it, I can feel that it's colder than my own hands. Now, immediately when I do that, I go out of this thinking process that I had going on in my brain, and I'm going out to my senses. And when I'm using my senses, whether it's the eyes, looking outside the window, seeing cars outside, or a tree or a river, or whatever you can see outside your window, or whether it's like feeling, touching the chair that you're sitting on, that you really can feel that you're sitting on your chair. Maybe you can smell the smell of dinner, or some exhaust from the city, or maybe some nice nature if you're walking around in nature. But whatever you're using your senses for, as soon as you get aware that you're sensing through your smelling, hearing, seeing, touching, then you go out of that programmed mind that's just like consciously moving, thoughts that are just consciously popping up constantly popping up. Okay, so that's the first thing. We need to connect. So we need to connect to someone, or at least we need to widen our energy field so that we are not stuck in ourselves when we're doing shadow work. And shadow work actually comes from the Swiss psychiatrist Carl Gustav Jung, who was talking about Are we having conscious mind, but also subconscious mind or unconscious mind? And we store, according to him, we then store our traumas or feelings or situations that have sort of a negative feeling to us. We store that in our subconscious mind so that it's safe. It's like we don't have to see that all the time. We can sort of hide it in our own darkness. And I find that very beautiful, because darkness to me is a safe space. That's where I can put my hurts. That's where I can put my pain. I can put my worries, because it's a safe space. I'm not kicking anything around in there. It's just like allowed to be there. But the thing is that our reactions in life to present situations can be so overwhelming, because we can overreact if we are reacting not only to the present situation that we're meeting, but we are reacting with that enormous bag of baggage that we have with us from the past and hurts that are related to the past. So that's why sometimes we can get really, really angry, much more angry than the present situation actually accounts for, if you know what I mean. Or you can be really, really sad because it somehow triggers a memory that of something that is hidden in your subconscious mind. And that's why we want to work with the shadows, with the things that we're not so proud of, the things maybe we feel ashamed, maybe we feel that it's just too painful. There can be all kind of negative things, beliefs about ourselves and our abilities and our things that we've done in the past. We tend to store things that are not pleasant when we can't deal with it in the present moment, when we can't deal with it when it happens. So then we need to store it a little bit, and it's a safe place, so it makes us survive situations. And we have to have so much acceptance, at least I feel, that towards myself, that I have to understand that every time I've hidden something away from myself, I've done that to survive. I've done that to manage the situation I was in. So we can't always solve, we don't have the situation when it's possible to solve and look at and heal everything. But if you have a moment now and you want to release yourself from old pains, and you want to make yourself freer, so that when you react according to the situation more than to something that happened before, then you're welcome to keep watching, because we are also in the next couple of videos, we're going to work with the shadows. So today, what I will tell you is a little story to show you how it works. This is a personal situation. I have this sound that I really don't like. When somebody is cleaning out a casserole with a metal spoon in a metal casserole, then the metal against the metal is a sound that I can't handle. Well, right now I can handle it, but I used to really freak out. I used to get so angry and lash out to the person making that sound with anger, because I thought this person was doing this deliberately towards me. Like it was almost this feeling of you're harming me, you're hurting me. And I was really exaggeratedly angry when you compare the situation to other things that I did not get angry about. So this sound made me really angry. Now, when I was doing my shadow work and starting to bring in this sound, saying, okay, so what kind of situation in life do I overreact to? Well, this is definitely a situation that I totally overreact to. So I'm starting to look at that, starting to bring that to the light, or lifting it out of darkness in a way, and just looking at it with acceptance and awareness and patience and love and everything I can find, not to harm myself, not to try to find out what did I do wrong, but like sort of more looking at it, observing it neutrally. And then I could see that the sound reminded me of a sound from my childhood. And that was when I was living in hospital for many years. My childhood, I was a lot in hospital, away from my family, and I felt very scared. I felt very scared because I had operations and tests and blood work and all the stuff that they do to you in the hospital. And I was alone. I felt completely abandoned and alone whenever my family would have to go home, because they couldn't be there all the time. So then in the evening, the nurses lifted bed horse of metal, and the bed was of metal. So the sound was metal against metal. And when that was lifted, I was trapped. then I couldn't get out of my bed by myself. And I was very, very scared. I started to get cold. I was scared. So this was something that was repeatedly going on in my younger years. And the sound, even if I had no clue that it had anything to do with that, when I started to ask, where does this overreaction come from? Why is this sound so painful to me that I have to get so angry? Of course, because it was triggering the memory that was pure panic. It was so painful, it was panic. So to me, I hear the sound and lash out because it's like I'm defending myself. I'm trying to survive here. But when I know, then I can deal with it differently. Then I can bring this memory up. I can give it healing. I can look at it. I can have, my adult love for a child who was very scared. And there are so many different ways of working with that. But the most important thing is the awareness of the link, because then I knew now when I hear this sound, I know that I'm not alone panicking in a hospital bed. I am an adult. I can go out of the room when I want. I can get out of bed when I want to. And this makes me instantly start to heal this connection between that sound and that sound, which was bringing all these memories subconsciously from my subconscious part of my mind, lashing out and becoming angry. So it's practical. It brings the possibility of healing to old wounds, but also this is the miracle about shadow work, that the more you work and the more you see your own limitations, your own things that you're ashamed of, the stuff that we very often don't want to look at because we're not trained to do that. Just like we're not trained to use the muscles and meet our challenges and train the muscles to meet new challenges. When we don't do it, we're not used to it and we don't know what to do. And that is the hard point. When we are very sad and very angry or very jealous or have difficult situations, difficult emotions, and we have no clue what to do with them, then life becomes really, really hard. So that's why we want to find ways. There are lots of tools to deal with difficult situations. There are lots of tools to deal with difficult emotions. And that is what shadow work is all about. We are embracing our entire being. I feel that I'm more able to be happy with myself and not judge myself too harshly on the things that I'm not so good at or the things that where I'm not perfect. So I'm allowing myself basically to be a human being when I look at my shadow side. But it also makes me able to react to present situations much more correctly according to the situation, like much more healthily. Because if I have a lot of baggage that I'm not aware of in my subconscious mind, it will pop up and it will destroy so many situations because we're not talking about what's happening. We're talking about something that none of us know what it is, but it's in the past and in our bags. So it's to clarify, it's to heal from the inside out. It brings more joy, it brings more happiness. But it's also true that when you are in a place of darkness or worrying or anger or jealousy, or you don't feel good about life, you are struggling in your life, then it's so provocative to see all these happy posts and Facebook. I know I do that. I post things on Facebook when I'm happy, when I'm strong, when I'm like wanting to share, because I want to share. I'm naturally more eager to share when I'm happy and when everything is right than when I'm worried or everything's difficult. So that's also the falseness of the social media world, because we look at everybody around there and we think, oh my God, am I the only one who has any problems? Everybody else seems so happy. It's only beaches and sunshine and birds and flowers and everybody's fine. Well, we're not fine. None of us are fine all the time. We all have challenges, we all have issues, we all have problems that we need to solve, but we do it differently, we focus differently, and that's part of being human, isn't it? That we do things in a different way. But to me, the tip number one for starting doing shadow work, if it's new to you, is always to connect through the senses. Be present in the here and now, Because if you just drift in your thoughts and you go back to old memories and old wounds and stuff, then you shouldn't do that alone, because that can be like a very heavy thing to deal with. Whereas when you're present and you do sense the cup in your fingers and the chair you're sitting on, and you do smell the smell of perfume or exhaust or a flower or whatever is around you, when you use your senses, then your awareness becomes very present in the here and now, and you get the help from the entire universe, because you are opening, you are receiving, you're opening to receive. And that's why it's so much easier to work when you're present in the moment, when you're connected to the rest of the universe. And you can be connected to everything around you through a coffee cup. It's that easy. Okay, follow me for more. The next video will be about shadow work as well, and then we'll do a little bit more about how to do it. Okay, see you next time. Let's share some love.